All right, good morning, guys. I hope you've been doing your homework. It is finally time. It is time here to assess the morality, the ethics, and who was wrong and who was right in the war versus Marley and Paradia. Now, this is going to be a ton of fun. I hope you've done your homework, or I'm going to spoil this whole show for you. This is a show, I think, that has about 4 seasons. It's going to take a little bit of time to watch, but not as long as you think. It's a series made, I think, by Mappa. Man, I don't know this kind of stuff. But anyhow, this is a show that I have watched twice because it was so interesting and so good. This show blew up all over social media. Everyone was raging about it and having these huge disagreements. You had these odd kind of people who were claiming genocide, who were screaming genocide. You're supporting genocide. You're immoral. I can't believe this is the side that you've taken. And you had another side of people who were like, the protagonist, the good guy, could do nothing wrong. He could do nothing wrong. He's totally innocent. He did what he had to do. He won the war. If it wasn't for him, his people might have suffered and might have never been to the place where they should have been. But who's right? And why is it that we can't come to a pretty dang simple agreement about what nation in this scenario was right? If we can come to an agreement in this scenario with Attack on Titan about which nation had the moral high ground, then maybe we can come to a pretty simple agreement about the Israel and Gaza conflict. Because I think that one is quite just as simple. Now here, we're going to go right into it. Okay, now there are 9 different Titans in this TV series. There's the Armored Titan, the Female Titan, the Beast Titan, the Jaw Titan, the Cart Titan, the Founding Titan, and the Colossal Titan. All these 9 different Titans can be changed or controlled by the creator, who is called Ymir. Now, in the very beginning of this story, you see this, not in the beginning of the show, but this is the beginning. Before all this happens, here's how you get these 9 Titans. You have this young girl, practically, who goes down into this tree well as she's escaping some kind of abuse by some crazy people who are shooting arrows at her. She's bleeding, she's in pain. She finds this tree, and down in this tree is some kind of spinal-like looking kind of alien creature. I'm gonna have all the visuals on here, so take a deep look as we're going through. But this spinal, blue, vivid kind of creature that gives her the power to create different Titans. It gives her the power to decide the age of the Titans, all kinds of stuff. And she's also in this place called the Paths. Now, the Paths is quite a complex and interesting thing. I actually have my own take on some of this, so of course it's debatable. Have some fun with it. Let's debate about it. My take is going to be a little bit different than you're expecting on the Paths and the stuff to do with the timeline, parallel timelines, and everything like that. Now, here's our hero. Our hero is Eren Yeager. Eren Yeager has grown up in Paradia all of his life. He has known nothing else. His father actually is a Titan holder when he's something like 4 or 5 years old. His father is actually the holder of the Attack Titan / Founding Titan. His father got the Titan from this guy, actually from Marley, because what you're going to find out is his dad is actually from Marley. Now, what is Marley? Marley is another distant land that has people who do not have the ability to transform to Titans and people who do have the ability to transform into Titans. If you have the ability to transform into Titans, then you are an Eldian. Eldians typically came from Paradia, but however, that's their original home. Then some of them made it to Marley. Now, before all this conflict happened, Marley, Paradia, and all these other lands were aware of each other. They all had knowledge of each other's firepowers, each other's Titan holding abilities. Now, so there are other lands than Marley and Eldia. You just don't really get to see or get to experience those other lands, but it doesn't really matter because they don't play necessarily a large role. Now, understand that only in Paradia, the Eldians, they are the only ones who have the ability to turn into Titans. None of these other lands with all these other millions of people have the ability to turn into Titans. So as you can imagine, the entire world is fearful of all the Eldians and kind of want them gone. They have quite an advantage. Now there is a special advantage that the people in Eldia have. They have the ability to call upon the Titans in the wall. What are the walls? Now in Paradia, I think there's 3 or 4 different walls. And so think about it like this. You have one wall with 5 mile diameter, thick diameter. Now you have another wall with a 3.5 mile diameter, and a wall inside of that wall with a 2 mile diameter, and a wall inside of that wall with a 1 mile diameter. You see what I'm saying? So these walls, so it's a wall within a wall within a wall within a wall. And these walls are supposed to protect the people of Eldia from the Titans outside of the wall. Now, it was quite effective. The mindless Titans don't have the ability to get through these walls, so the Eldians truly are protected if these walls stay up. But these walls aren't just any walls. These walls are walls made out of colossal Titans. Colossal Titans are going to be the largest Titans that you're going to see on this show. The Colossal Titan is huge in comparison to all the other 8 Titans. Now, it's a different story for the founding Titan that Eren Yeager is going to have at the end. His founding Titan is going to be kind of, well, huge. It's going to be the same as a Colossal Titan. Anyhow, there are, I don't know how many thousands of Colossal Titans within these walls surrounding Eldia. There are enough Titans for them to stand side by side, march upon distant lands, and erase entire populations of people. So you're starting to see why more and more people are afraid of these Eldians. Now, you might think, wow, what an advantage that the people of Paradia on Eldia have to be able to turn into Titans and to have a special 9 Titans who have special powers. The 9 Titans have special powers. That's going to be interesting. So, what kind of special powers then are we talking? I'm going to tell you a couple. For example, the Armored Titan, well, has special armor. It looks like tree bark. This armor is incredibly hard to pierce. And so this makes this Titan kind of a tank. Then there's the female Titan. This female Titan is a specialist at hardening, incredibly athletic kind of Titan. And that's her ability, is hardening. Now, the holder of the female Titan was able to harden actually to protect herself from Eren at one point. So she couldn't be eaten or experimented on. Now, like I was saying, you might really think that, wow, these Eldians and Paradians or whatever from Paradia really have the advantage over the rest of the world, which they do. Absolutely. The rest of the world hasn't developed really sufficient weapons that can deal with these Titans and the powers that they have, especially if you have one nation that has literally all the 9 Titans and they're coming after you. There's no chance whatsoever that you're going to survive. No chance at all. It isn't quite as fun as you might think turning into a Titan in this story, however. It turns out that the reason why you have these kind of mindless Titans, or how you get the first step to a Titan, to one of the 9 Titans, is you actually have to take the spinal fluid from royalty. So there is a royal family in this story. The royal family was in connection with a guy by the name of King Fritz. And King Fritz had a connection with the original Titan holder Ymir. Here's a solid explanation for you to understand who King Fritz is. In Attack on Titan, King Fritz is portrayed as the tyrannical ruler of Eldia, roughly 2,000 years before the story's events. He is the one who initially exploited Ymir Fritz's Titan powers to conquer and expand the Eldian Empire. So King Fritz married Ymir, made her his wife, and exploited her powers, and practically enslaved her. It's watch the very beginning of the show. It's pretty whack. He is also the ancestor of all subjects of Ymir, including the Fritz royal family and the Rice family. King Fritz's actions, particularly his use of Ymir's Titan powers for conquest and his subsequent treatment of her, are central to the series' core conflict and themes of oppression, power, and the cyclical nature of violence. The Fritz royal family plays a very important part. I told you that there was a founding Titan. The founding Titan is different than Ymir. The founding Titan is a power that a Titan holder can hold that gives them special abilities. One founding Titan holder made a declaration of practically no war. The founding Titan is able to set rules through this thing called the paths. And Ymir will follow the orders of the founding Titan. Now, anyone can hold the power of the founding Titan, but not anyone can use the power of the founding Titan. You must be of royal blood to access the power of the founding Titans and go to the paths where you can demand that Ymir does what you order her to do. Ymir really is the most powerful person and thing in this show, able to actually even save a human's life that by no means should be alive. You will see that with Zeke Yeager in this series. She actually saves his life. I think it's like in season 3. We all think he's totally dead. There's no way he's going to survive. But Ymir, this is, you don't actually get to see it, but the suspicion here is that Ymir actually molds his body with sand. So whenever you see Ymir sometimes in the show, or the first time you see her, she's building with clay. She's building. Think of Genesis, like biblical, how God says that man came from dirt. So that's kind of what Ymir is doing here. She actually imagines and then she builds. And that's how you get these 9 different Titans. She's actually created them and the likeness that she prefers. So she's able to do special things. She's incredibly powerful. But you would think a character like this would be somewhat godlike. But she's not. She's not godlike at all. She's a slave. She has no intention really of doing anything past the orders of the royal family. She was absolutely obedient to her husband King Fritz, and she followed his orders. She did as he asked. She bore him children, but she just looked like the most depressed and unhappy person in this entire show. Now, one of the most disgusting parts about this show is the guy that she marries actually feeds her corpse to all of his children. Now, what you might be wondering is why, if Ymir is so powerful, did she die as a human? Now that I don't know. I have no idea why Ymir died as a human, but she died in the flesh, but that didn't end there. Then she went directly to the paths, and that's where she stays. Is in this is in this different universe called the Paths. Think of it as an alternative universe, and that is where she stays. Now, King Fritz had a few daughters, and their names were Maria, Rose, and Sina, and he ordered them to consume Ymir's body in order to inherit the uh well to inherit Ymir's powers, and that way they could continue the bloodline of Titans, and they could continue to where we are now, which is with 9 different Titans, which is with a founding Titan and all this kind of stuff, and it ensured Eldia's supremacy, and it sure did. No one had any chance against Eldia until one moron, and I will introduce you to him. Like I said, the events of this occurred about 2,000 years. So King Fritz, the original who married Ymir, his events occurred 2,000 years before the present story that we're talking about. Now, the 145th king of Eldia, also known as, well, King Carl Fritz. Okay. You know how those guys are when they're royalty. They like to use the same name and sleep with their same children or something. But anyhow, King Carl Fritz used the power of the founding titan to construct the walls on Paradia Island and erase the memories of the outside world from the Eldian population within. He then made a vow to renounce war, which limited the founding titan's power and prevented any future Eldian rulers from using it to wage war or defend themselves. Now, it isn't like he really just left them like, I don't know, chickens with their heads cut off. He did erect the walls to protect the Eldians, but the Eldians don't have a way of using the founding titan to go on the defense or to go on the offense. They don't have that ability anymore. And when I say what I mean by that is they don't have the ability to use the titans within the wall. That specifically, they don't have that ability. Now, anyone who is of royal blood who possesses the power of the founding titan, this person will be bound by the 145th king's renunciation of war. This means that if you take the founding titan and you're of royal blood, the will of King Fritz, the 145th, comes over you, and you're not able to push your own will forward anymore. King Fritz, the 145th, his will becomes your will. So if your intention was to get the founding titan and you're of royal blood and you think, oh man, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna get the titans in the walls. I'm gonna march on Marley and these other lands, and I'm going to free my people, and I'm gonna save them from this oppression that we're going through. So now I'm going to take the founding titan. You take it. You're of royal blood. All of a sudden, you do not have the ability any longer to go against King Fritz's will, and you have no ability to access those titans in the wall, and you are bound by the 145th king's will. This is why the royal family with the founding titan had no ability to do anything. I made a mistake in the very beginning. I told you that Aaron's father had the founding titan when he came to Paradia. That's not true. He actually just had the attack titan, which he got from a soldier from Marley. He had the attack titan, and he ended up going to the home or the underground area of the royal family, and he requested that they do something, that they protect the people, that they get rid of the renunciation of war, and that they do something. And they simply told him no, that they would do nothing. Now, Aaron's father ended up killing, I think, this lady called Diana, who was the founding titan holder at that time. Now, this founding titan that you see is not like Aaron's founding titan that you're going to see at the end of the story. This founding titan really just looks like the female titan. yet it's the founding titan. So it has different powers that really are useless because of the renunciation of war. Anyways, Aaron's father kills this woman, takes her titan powers, and he goes back home. So now Aaron's father is the holder of both the attack titan powers and the founding titans powers. Aaron's father gives Aaron these powers later on. He ends up like I was telling you earlier. Uh, he ends up putting the spinal fluid of a royal family's blood into Aaron, which changes him into a mindless titan, and then the mindless titan has to eat a conscious titan. You following me? So you can't just be a mindless titan and eat any human and all of a sudden become conscious or become, yeah, you can't become aware in that sense. So you could take a group of 10 people, you could take the spinal fluid of a royal family member, and you could inject this spinal fluid into them, and they would become 10 different looking titans, but none of them would have any kind of consciousness. They would just be mindless, and they are slaves to the will of the founding titan. So the mindless titans have to follow the will of the founding titan. The founding titan can scream for them. The founding titan can tell them what to do, and they will do it. If a mindless titan dies before consuming one of the 9 titans, then that human that became the titan is 100% dead. There is no coming back for that human being. So if you're a human that is turned into a mindless titan, you need to eat one of the 9 titans. You need to eat the female titan or the jaw titan or the warhammer titan. You need to eat one of them in order to gain consciousness. Once you gain consciousness as a mindless titan, you possess the powers of one of the 9. If you possess powers of one of the 9, then you can change between a human and a titan at will. All you have to do typically is cut yourself or harm yourself in some kind of way, and you can become a gosh dang 19-foot titan. Pretty crazy, right? Pretty crazy. But that's okay, that's how that works. So now you understand. Back in the day, prior to the time of Aaron, there was an individual in Marley. The person who gave Aaron's dad the Attack Titan powers, his name was Aaron Kruger. Interesting, huh? Aaron Kruger. So there's Aaron Yeager, and then there's Aaron Kruger. So Aaron Kruger, mind you, years, probably 7, I don't know, 8, 10 years before Aaron even existed, knew Aaron Yeager. Grisha Yeager is the father of Aaron. That's his name, Grisha. Grisha Yeager is a guy who is from Marley. He grew up, I believe, his entire life in Marley. In Marley, there are a certain percentage of the population that has no ability to turn into titans. Then there are a good percentage of the population who are able to turn into titans. So there is a split between the groups of people. Some are Eldians and some are not. So the Eldians and Marley are looked at as devils, and they're kind of oppressed. They're forced to become warriors as children. And they are forced to do this because they are supposed to repay for the blood that their ancestors took. They are supposed to redeem their people and redeem their race. And so one way for them to do this, because the Eldians and Paradia before the 145th king were absolute terrorists to the rest of the world. So in order to justify the existence of their people and to really just redeem themselves as a people, they work for Marley, the Eldians. Understand at this time that we're talking about the Marleyans hold the vast majority of the 9 titans. Grisha Yeager is an individual in Marley who is attempting to start a revolt. He's tired of the oppression. He's tired of the Eldians being treated the way that they are, and he has good reason to be. Grisha experienced an incredibly traumatic experience when he was young. He experienced his younger sister being killed by a Marleyan. For what reason? For just being, I believe, in a location that they weren't supposed to be in, like a secluded area or a private area. They went to that location. They weren't supposed to be there. So his sister ended up getting killed because they went there. And Grisha's father really did about nothing about it. And there's not a lot they could do about it. Eldians don't hold the power there. Kind of, sort of, whatever. But let's just say at this time, Eldians didn't hold the power there. And there were other Eldians that weren't with other Eldians. So you had Marleyans who were grouped with Eldians who believed in the Marleyan mission, who were opposing the other Eldians who wanted to start the revolt, right? So if you're the Eldians that want to start the revolt and become free from their oppression, well, you're kind of screwed. You have to fight your own people and the Marleyans. So you can kind of see the position that they're in. Now, what the Marleyans were doing to the Eldians is the Eldians that were caught and considered um, what would you call them? I don't know. People who were betrayers or people who did wrong. Maybe they were criminals. Maybe they were trying to start a revolt. Well, Grisha Yeager had a son, and his name is Zeke Yeager. Grisha was raising Zeke to become a powerful Titan holder who would save his people. Now, Zeke was strongly influenced by a scientist at the time who held the power of the Beast Titan. Zeke Yeager later on came to the point where he possessed the Beast Titan powers. Now, Grisha Yeager was incredibly strict and cruel with Zeke, and he really put a lot of pressure on him to free the people. They put such a heavy burden on Zeke that Zeke kind of lost out on his childhood and didn't get to experience it with a loving mother and father the way that you would have hoped. But there was a lot at stake, so you can understand why it was so difficult for Zeke's mother and father to raise him the way they wanted. They were under oppression. They were being ridiculed, and they wanted freedom. So they sacrificed their child for that freedom. But in the end, Zeke Yeager ended up snitching on his parents, and his parents were taken to this area where the Marleyans bring the Eldians who are betrayers or wrongdoers, and they inject them with the spinal fluid of the royal family, so they become mindless titans, and then they go off into the distant land. So that's what was going on at that time. So Zeke snitches on his parents. Grisha and his wife are taken. Grisha's wife is turned into a titan. Unfortunately, he never sees her again. And then after that, Grisha Yeager meets Aaron Kruger, actually. So there's an individual who's in charge of turning all these individuals into mindless titans. And this person is super cruel. I mean, just disgusting kind of person. But however, Aaron Kruger kicks that guy off the wall. And that guy goes and dies. And then he talks to Grisha Yeager for a little bit. He tells him to go out to Peridia to have a family. He tells him that you need to accomplish, these things, this mission. You need to go over there. You need to get the Fountain Titan. You need to do this for Armin and for Mikasa. That is your story. What are we doing all this for? Why are we here? We are here for Armin and Mikasa. We are here to see them live. We are here to see them thrive. And we are here to see them succeed. That is the true goal of this story, is the saving of the lives of Armin and Mikasa. Who the frick are those, right? Those are the children that Eren is actually growing up with. Mikasa and Armin are his best friends. Mikasa is a young girl that Eren ends up saving actually one day. These robbers or burglars, whatever you want to call them, come into her parents' home. They kill her parents. they're about to do who knows what to her. And Aaron's father at that time is aware of the situation that's going on. He tells Aaron to stay put as he tries to figure out what's happening or how to get help. And Aaron, he's actually a little maniac from the very beginning. He's kind of a heroic maniac, if you ask me. But, some people say, he always had a problem. Whatever, man. He's a freaking winner. That's what he is. Aaron, he goes ahead and he looks for Mikasa. He finds Mikasa and he finds the three guys. Aaron kills two of the guys. And the third guy gets onto Aaron. He's choking him out. Aaron's about to pass out. And he yells to Mikasa, fight, fight. That's Aaron's main thing, man, is fight. If you want to live, fight. If you want freedom, fight. That is the spirit of Eren Yeager. And Eren tells her to do this. And it comes to her that if she wants to live, if she wants to exist, if she wants to be free, if she wants to be away from all this oppression, if she wants to get rid of these chains of pain and suffering, then she's going to have to fight for the rest of her life. So she does. She gets up, she fights, and she kills that third guy. Her and Eren get out. And of course, Eren's father is mortified because Eren's father is like, oh my God, my 6-year-old child just killed 2 grown-ass men and convinced this little girl to kill another. But at the same time, we all know what would have happened to Mikasa. These pieces of shit deserve to die. And they did. Let's call it a day. Okay? Let's call it a day. All right. So that's Mikasa. Armin is a young boy in the community who is a best friend of Eren's. He has a very calm demeanor. He is incredibly intelligent. He's a little bit weak, a little bit of a puss, but he's incredibly intelligent. He becomes a huge player in the story later as he takes the place of an individual who's the current general of the army of Eldia. Like I said, this is a show that you're going to watch, but I've laid out kind of the origins of the show and I've explained to you some important characters. So let me tell you some more. So we have Armin, we have Mikasa, we have Eren Kruger, we have Grisha Yeager, we have Eren Yeager, we have Eren's mom, well, stepmom. Sorry, so go to Zeke Yeager then, and we have Zeke Yeager's mom from Marley. And then when Grisha gets over to Paradia, Grisha marries Eren's mom. So there are 2 women that Grisha has been with and has had children with. So there are half brothers, one in Marley and one in Eldia. There are there is in Paradia a regiment called the Scout Regiment. There's also an MP regiment. So when these children get of age, I don't know how old these children were. When these children get of age to join the militias, they do. And they get to choose which one that they're going to stay in. Now, during the time that they're training, there are 3 new recruits that people don't know much about. And these 3 recruits are Titan holders that have come from Marley. Bertolt, also known as Birth Control. You got the Armored Titan. I forgot his freaking name. And then you got the female Titan. I also forgot her name. Whatever, they don't matter. Screw those people. So you got these 3 people who have infiltrated the Eldian army, who have come from Marley to actually test and see what powers the people of Eldia have, or the abilities or capabilities they have to go on the offense. And really, though, they are there to grab the founding Titan. That is what they need. They need to grab the founding Titan. That's their actual mission. These 3 people miserably fail, and one of the reasons they miserably fail is, one, Eren Yeager is actually a freaking Titan who possessed the attack Titan from Grisha Yeager. So Eren Yeager kicks a lot of their asses. Another reason that they lose is because of Levi, who is in the Scout Regiment. The Scout Regiment is the regiment responsible for fighting Titans head to head and going out directly into the line of fire. That is specifically what they do. That is their job, is to fight Titans head to head. At this time, there is still practically nothing that the Eldians know about these Titans. Why don't they know anything about these Titans? Because of the King Fritz and his renunciation of war. He did something on top of that renunciation, which caused all the Eldians to lose their memories of their past and all their memories and knowledge of the Titans. So actually, the people of Paradia have no freaking idea how Titans come to be, who the royal family really is, who King Fritz the 145th was, and what powers he had. They had no freaking idea. There is a religious group that holds this knowledge, but for some reason, they don't seem to really share it and they just keep it to themselves. They must be zealots in favor of King Fritz's renunciation of war or some bullcrap like that. Those guys suck, okay? They really screwed over everybody else. So we got Levi Ackerman. Now, what's who? So this is a new last name, Ackerman, okay? Now, did I tell you Mikasa's last name? Mikasa Ackerman. Now, this Ackerman family is a special family, but I want you to go watch the show and figure out why that family is special on your own. Go check it out. Okay, to continue. So three Titan holders come to infiltrate Eldia. One female and two males. And later on, the Beast Titan, which is held now by Zeke Yeager, comes to Paradia. Now, I told you that the walls were protecting the people of Eldia. Well, when the Colossal Titan, the Attack Titan, and the Female Titan come, who are the three infiltrators, whom no one has found out quite yet so far at the beginning of the story, they come and they destroy the walls, they kick them down, and so all the people of Paradia are kind of screwed within the first wall because the Colossal Titan freaking was it the Colossal for this first one? I don't remember. I think the first one was the Colossal. Kicks the freaking wall in. The rocks fly all over, kills who knows how many people and maims them. And then they allow all the mindless Titans in that are in Paradia. Now, if the mindless Titans were turned into mindless Titans in Marley, how were they in Paradia? Now that's something I actually don't know. I don't know. I'll look that up and I'll make sure to get that in there. But my guess is they brought those Titans over because when you go from Paradia to Marley, typically you take like an airship or something. I don't know if the lands are connected like that because I'm pretty sure Paradia is an island. So yeah, figure out how the Titans came from Marley and went to Paradia. And here's my reason for thinking that the Titans came from Marley is because Grisha's ex-wife, Zeke Yeager's mom, is actually a mindless Titan in Paradia. Think about that for a second. Think about it. You gotta pay close attention here. The story's whack. Think about it for a second. Okay, that's the reason why I think what I think. Okay, we got that established. It's looking good. The story's progressing. I'm actually going to stop right here and I'm going to continue on to part 2 of Attack on Titan. So this is going to be part 1. I hope you enjoyed this. Watch this very closely. Pay very close attention. There are some very tight-knit details that you're going to have to get from this. So keep following. Go ahead, turn on Attack on Titan. I know it's an anime and you don't want to end up gay or, I don't know what you think you might be. I don't know, some weird kid that runs and flips on the wall or some anime weirdo. You won't be just for watching this one. Just watch this one. Think about it. Tell me what you think. Let's meet back up next week. We'll continue on to part 2. Do your homework. Okay, guys.